And to my next guest, I must apologise for getting her up at such an ungodly hour on a Sunday, but I'm very pleased to be joined by royal biographer Angela Levin. Hi, Angela.
Good morning. I made it.
You did, didn't you? Good to see you. I think probably the big story today with Harry is front page of the Sunday Times. I just sort of hold it up there. There you go. So it's Windsor peace talk plan ahead of coronation. Apparently Charles wants to get him, William and Harry in a room before the coronation to hammer out some kind of a peace deal. Now, you know, I'm all for that, I suppose. But if I was King Charles, I would say, this guy, my son, has just spent the last week pouring a bucket over my wife. And frankly, I'm not having it. My response to the way Harry has behaved over the last week of these dreadful TV interviews based on his spiteful little book, my response would not be as generous as King Charles. I would just say, you apologise. Don't you call on us to apologise. You apologise, or, frankly, arise, Mr. Harry Wales. You're no longer the Duke of Sussex. Never mind the peace talks. Take away his titles unless he apologises.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot, but I think they're terribly worried about Harry's mental health. I mean, if you read that very carefully, as I have done, where he's really furious that his brother's got a bigger room when they go to Windsor, a bigger room that they're sharing. He's worried, he's furious at that. He's furious that Queen Camilla, years after he left the palaces in the country, that she used the room for a dressing room. I know hundreds and thousands of families who do that. When a child leaves the home, you use the room. He's furious, and not only that, his very sort of rude bits about his private parts. This is a very, very ill man who's got no appreciation of how he seems to the rest of the people. Also, if King Charles wants to do this, I mean, what's going to happen? Is Harry going to come over to the UK for months? It is not going to be something that is a 10-minute agreement. And also, he's just been so rude to them,
Exactly.
Totally going to curtail the royal family from having any contact with the press, and that will save them. Meanwhile, he got 3 full pages of the Telegraph yesterday. He's got no understanding. Also, I think that he's now in a bullying mood, and he won't give in. He's got to prove himself. He's got to prove that he's strong, and he's stronger than William, and he's stronger than his father, and they've got to pay back. And he's... will he listen? Will he compromise? I don't think so. And also, will Meghan let him? In the book, here's this woman we see as a strong feminist, very confident, doing phenomenally well, could even be very high in American politics. Some hopes.
Not anymore.
But she's forever crying in the book. She's always lying on the floor crying. Well, I would think that's a bit of a con thing, that she gets Harry to do everything she wants.
Yeah, indeed. Angela, I'm with broadcaster Emma Wolf. I think she wants to ask you a question. Go ahead, Emma.
Angela, I was just going to say, is it really an issue of mental health, or surely it's maturity? I mean, we have this guy who, at the age of 38, 39, is still droning on about who got the bigger room. He is privileged. We don't even need to go back to the cost of living crisis and what people in our country are suffering. He is droning on about this. He's privileged beyond belief. His wealth is beyond belief, especially since his Netflix deal and his Oprah interviews and his book deal and all of that. We know how many millions they've made already. The other dangerous thing, I think, is that he's got Meghan goading him on, as you say, behind the backgrounds, prodding him on. Come on, don't let them say that to you. This isn't fair, that's not fair. Weeping on the floor at every, You know, this isn't weeping when she had a miscarriage. This, which I'm not clear why she was sharing. This is weeping on the floor about the bridesmaids' dresses or an unpleasant text message that from another member of the royal family. He wants his privacy, and yet we're being told that he's going to it's not
None
an
of
issue.
It makes any
this
sense.
Isn't mental health.
Yeah.
This is someone who is deeply immature, feels very entitled, and is angry and spoilt.
In the light of what Emma's saying, Angela, why do you think, very uncharacteristically, all we're getting right now is a sort of avalanche of Harry every day, another TV interview, a newspaper interview yesterday. I mean, he has been in our face like there's no tomorrow all week. And yet, uncharacteristically, no sign of Meghan. Why do you think she's keeping her head down?
Because she obviously wants to not get involved in this. Actually, I've noticed that throughout their togetherness, Harry's always the one who has to attack, and I think that she likes that because she wants to be pure and innocent, and it's not her fault, and she's just been treated so badly. But her husband has to do this. I think she's out because she doesn't want to get mixed up with this, anything to do with the drugs and anything to do with his appalling behaviour, and whether or not she actually did buy a second-hand sofa from IKEA to use in Kensington Palace when they were living in the cottage.
It's all so petty, isn't it?
They're poverty-stricken. I do think you're absolutely right about being very immature, very. A lot of the time he feels like a sort of 12-year-old adolescent.
He just never grew up.
Stamping his feet. But on the other hand, I think a lot of his thought process, if he's got any now, is actually too many drugs, and I think that's affected him.
Let me ask you that. Angela. Tom Bower, your fellow royal biographer, is saying that he believes that, and this is just what Tom Bower's saying. I'm not saying it, nor are you, nor's Emma. He's saying that he believes Harry is addicted to marijuana. He also says there are things he knows about Harry in this respect, drug consumption, that he cannot say. But I do think it is worth considering that Harry, certainly in the past and maybe now, has taken far too many drugs.
Yeah, but he admits that he was taking it after Archie was born. I mean, that's bad enough. When Meghan was allegedly giving birth to Archie, he sort of took her, was it laughing gas?
Yeah, that's right.
And he snorted in the whole lot, so there was none left for her. Now, these are things that are not far away, and I think if he's been taking drugs all this time, he took cocaine, which he admitted, these magic mushrooms, and ketamine, which is really a strong drug.
Yeah.
And there have been rumours that Meghan's mother was interested in using drugs. I'll leave it at that one. But, yes, it's a combination. That's why I say he's in a very bad state, because he doesn't know what to do or handle his life. But I think as a spoilt teenager, as you said, he won't want to give in. It'll be very, very important that he doesn't give in. He'll stamp on the floor. He'll walk out. And he said he will forgive them. He will forgive them.
Thank you. Really nice of you.
This is in his interview yesterday. If they apologise to Meghan. So there it goes, all back to Meghan.
He's the one, Angela, who owes an apology. He owes an apology to his father and his family. Let me ask you, let's just finish. Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you an overarching question. So he's done all his interviews now, hopefully. The book is out there. It's selling like hotcakes. Clearly there's big pressure on him to write another one, which he will. But essentially, writing a book is not a full-time occupation. Where does he go from here. Archewell, the great foundation, which is supposed to be charitable, over the past year managed to give less than $50,000 to charitable concerns. That kid in the West Country who slept in a tent to raise money for his local hospital, he's 11 years old, he gave out more money to charity last year than Archewell. So don't tell me Harry's future is in philanthropy and handing out money to worthy causes. That's not it. Where does he go as a man from here?
Well, he's an advisor about mental health, I say, without trying not to laugh.
How to get it?
You know, how he will keep that role, I don't know. He's involved in Invictus Games, but I have read that they're thinking about departing from him because what he said about the 25 Taliban people that he killed and put everybody in a difficult state because you must not say the numbers. It sort of makes the situation much worse. And I think he will play lots of polo. You're taking planes all over the place. I think it's empty for him.
Yes.
It's very, very empty.
Yeah, that's what I...
Keep getting that feeling of Edward and Mrs. Simpson. You know, what could they do once they fled to America apart from be socialites? And, you know, it just feels so empty. And also Harry and Meghan's marriage. How can you continue in a marriage based on alienating both sides of your... It's a toxic relationship, that one.
It's a good point, isn't it, Angela, that essentially, you know, he's whining and whinging about being the spare. He's about to find out really what it's like to be a spare because there's no purpose in his life. You know, he's fired all the grenades he can at the royal family, so there's not much left for him, is there?
Well, he'll keep on firing grenades. I mean, he said he's got loads more material, which his father and William absolutely will be furious with him. I mean, these are threats. These are terrible threats. But I think he's a very lost human being. And although he goes through the book saying how wonderful Meghan is, it's a bit Mills and Boon in the middle. When he meets Meghan, he's never seen anyone so beautiful, so wonderful, blah, blah, blah.
Angela, I give them 2 years.
2 years. Listen, Angela...
Well, I gave them 2 years from the start. So
I still think they haven't got long to go. Angela, great to talk to you. Angela Levin there, royal biographer.